Ladies and gentlemen, the American jury and Bulldog Nation, I once did this video or show back at the law office when I used my whiteboard. But I want to do it again here in my high-tech studio. And it's something that all of you can understand. Unfortunately, the dumbass politicians don't understand it. And it's basic economics. And as I go through this, I am going to cover the restaurant and bar business as it relates to business economics. Because I think the restaurant bar example, because of what's going on with the pandemic, is the best option to use. First, every business in capitalism begins with the sale of either goods or services. Doesn't get any more basic than that. Any business, you're selling a service or you're selling a product. Part of selling that good and service is the cost of the goods and services. What does it cost you to produce what you're selling? What does it cost for you to provide the service? In this particular case, a restaurant and bar, you're providing food and you're providing drink to your customers. Part of your expenses is your labor and your employees. Most restaurants and bars, you're going to have like a 30% labor cost, give or take a little bit. The lower the better. But that's what you got. You're going to have that cost. Now, if you're a restaurant and bar that can't open, or you have to operate at 25% capacity, or you got to close at a curfew time, what do you think that's going to do? You're going to have to cut your labor. You're going to have to cut employees. Every time an employee is cut or their salary is cut, think about the ripple effect that that has on the economy. Because if you cut that employee then can't purchase goods out there in society, can't pay their rent, so forth and so on. You have production costs. In the restaurant and bar business, that is the cooking of the food. Now just think about this. Every restaurant and bar buys their food and their alcohol and their drinks from a supplier. There are companies that provide food to restaurants. Many companies. So just imagine if the restaurants are closed, these restaurants aren't buying from these large companies that sell them food. Think of that ripple effect, people being laid off, people not being able to pay their bills. As far as drinks go, you're talking about restaurants serving Coke products, Pepsi products. Look at the ripple effect on Pepsi and Coke. What about all the beer companies? What about all the alcohol companies? Again, you're starting to see it. The ripple effect, if they're closed, they're not buying liquor. They're not buying soft drinks. They're not buying food. Each of those companies which supply those then hurts. What do they got to do? Cut labor. Let me tell you something else. Do you know what they also always cut? Marketing. Marketing's the first thing to go. Advertising is the first thing to go. So all of these restaurants and all of these bars advertise less. Ad agencies make less money. Get the picture of this macroeconomics picture I'm trying to paint for you? Then you have fixed costs. Fixed costs are things such as rent. How would you like to be a commercial real estate owner these days? Can you imagine? Look at all the shopping centers, all the retail space out there, restaurants and bars. Look at all the defaults going on. And what happens? If the tenant defaults on paying their rent, then the landlord defaults on paying the bank. What happens then? Getting the picture? Think about that going on all across this country. And there's a reported statistic that 110,000 restaurants and bars have gone out of business. What I've covered so far, just imagine the ripple effect of our economy of 110,000 restaurants and bars going out of business or being closed. It's astronomical. Then you have suppliers. I've already covered that. Customers. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the American jury and Bulldog Nation, that customer gets frustrated. That customer starts changing the way they do things. They eat at home. Now, sure, that's a benefit to somebody else. Kroger's benefits, more sales. But the question, if you're in the restaurant and bar business, do you ever get that customer back in the same way ever again? I know a little bit about this whole industry. What the fast food industry has done is just simply cut staff and focused on the drive-through windows. I mean, look at Chick-fil-A down there in Fort Wright. Holy cow, do they have a system? So the way a Wendy's or McDonald's, Chick-fil-A, Skyline, they can survive is cutting labor costs and just increasing what's going through the drive-through window. Well, just think if you're a breakfast place like First Watch. How do you deliver eggs cold? You don't get pickup of eggs cold, do you? This is all about the basic economic principles of supply and demand. And the demand for restaurants going down the tubes. It's sad. Very sad. The flow of money. Ladies and gentlemen, the American jury and Bulldog Nation, in capitalism, the most important thing is the flow of money. The circulation. Ever hear that circulation of money? The circulation of money through the economic system. That's what, it's the bread and honey. It's the bread and butter. It's the life source. Money flowing through the economy. In a communist or socialist country, it's meaningless. But the flow of money. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the American jury and Bulldog Nation, what restricts that flow of money besides a pandemic? Taxes. Taxes. Joe Biden and the Democrats, they'll tax the hell out of anything. They're probably going to tax your parrot that you have. They'll start taxing the food that you purchase for your pet cat and dog. Tax. What did Trump do? His tax policy helped this economy explode. What else? Tariffs. Now that does affect the restaurant and bar business. Because where you buy product from. Folks, we have to buy fruits and vegetables, not just from California. We also have to buy them from foreign countries, South America, Mexico, so forth and so on. Buying beef from foreign countries. So how you handle the tariffs and trade organizations also affects it. Then last but not least, regulation. Ladies and gentlemen, the American jury and Bulldog Nation, for those of you that don't own a business and don't understand it, I can only tell you this. Between taxes, regulations, to have a successful business is a small miracle. It's not easy. These people that own these restaurants and bars, small chains, big chains, mom and pops, they have put in their life savings. Some of them have quit jobs to do it. Borrowed money from family and friends. What happens when they start defaulting on those loans? And do you know the hours that are put in at a restaurant and bar? Long hours. Weekends. It's incredible. The workers, the waitresses, the bartenders. On and on and on. Ladies and gentlemen, the American jury and Bulldog Nation, the politicians, the governors, Congress, the rest of them, they don't give a damn. They don't understand it. They don't care to understand it. They're a bunch of swamp monsters getting a taxpayer check. And it's so absurd. We could go to Planet Fitness. By the way, I don't want it to be shut down. Wear our masks and work out, but you can't go in a restaurant, bar. None of it makes any sense. There's no medicine behind it. There's no science behind it. It's willy-nilly. And they're destroying people's lives. Then, what about the healthcare aspect of this? Mental and physical. I'm going to close with this. What is the first thing that you do when you meet somebody in a social setting for the first time? You're at a party, you're at a work function, wherever you are, what is the first thing that you ask someone when you meet them? And what's the first thing they ask you when they meet you? What do you do? What do you do, Bob? What do you do, Mary? It's what you ask. Our entire being of what we do is so important to our mental and physical and financial health. What do you do? Well, I do this, I do that. Some people state it proudly. Some people, well, I'm laid off. I work in the restaurant business, I'm laid off. The humiliation. They don't give a damn. I do. They don't. This is the Bulldog. Every dog has their day. Hang in there, restaurants and bars.